Hello, I am Hazen Stevens, and here are my findings on what the First Amendment protects and doesn't protect. The First Amendment is obviously the First Amendment of the Constitution. What this amendment entails is freedom of speech, freedom to assemble, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, and the freedom to petition. Now, this doesn't give total freedom for all these things, and I will now get into what you can and can't do when it comes to this amendment. To this, we will look at some court cases that the First Amendment was involved in. First, we will look at the freedom of speech and its limitations. For this, we will look at the Alonis versus the U.S. case. What happened in this case was a dude named Anthony Alonis who was, as I can say, a bit fussy. So what happened was he went on Facebook and decided to threaten his ex-wife, his coworkers, a kindergarten class, the local police, and an FBI agent. What made him do this was his wife and family left him, and he also lost his job. He was found guilty in this case, as threats of death and other heinous acts are not covered under free speech. Alonis also argued that he was an aspiring rap artist, and these comments were a therapeutic way of getting his anger out, and because it was said on social media, they weren't real threats. But they are. In the end, the court denied his motion to dismiss the case, and Anthony was sentenced to 44 months in prison. So, long story short, do not make threats against people because they can take you to court and they will win. Next, let us look at the Angel versus Vitale case. To understand this case, we will look at one of the former laws in New York. This law was that all schools had to start each day with the Pledge of Allegiance and a non-denominational prayer, which the student could opt out of. A student's parents sued the state on behalf of their child, arguing the law violated the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, which stops the government from having a nationwide religion, such as Christianity, Catholicism, or Judaism. And because the law was non-denominational, which meant the prayer was open to any Christian denomination, basically, it was a Christian prayer, the law was ruled unconstitutional because having students pray in Christian prayer kinda establishes Christianity as an official religion, which the United States cannot have because it is unconstitutional. Finally, the Cox versus New Hampshire case will be looked into. In this case, in a town in New Hampshire, it is required to have a permit for parades or other gatherings. And a group of Jehovah's Witnesses, which is a religious organization, held a sidewalk parade without a permit. They were fined for this, but soon after they were fined, they challenged the law, saying it violated their First Amendment rights, those rights being the freedom of religion and the freedom of speech. However, the case was not ruled in their favor, and it was said that the law was not meant to inhibit the freedom of speech, but instead to regulate when a parade or a large group gathered. After reviewing what freedom of speech means, we can infer that, well, it does have its time and places. You cannot do things that are outside of it, like hate speech, hate crimes, or threatening someone. And also, schools cannot force you to pray or sing the Pledge of Allegiance. So, use that how you want to. Also, don't gather for parade without a permit if there is a law that says you need a permit.